I've been using iPhones for 15 years, since the iPhone 4 back in 2010. I've tried some Android phones in that time, but I just couldn't make the switch. Until now, because I've been using the Nothing Phone 3A Pro for close to 2 weeks to really get a good feel of the phone, and I love it, despite a few quirks. So my daily driver has been an iPhone 15 Pro since it came out, so it's not really a fair comparison, but I use that phone a ton. I didn't realize how much I rely on my phone till preparing this video. I film all my YouTube videos on it for this channel. I test tons of audio products, track my investments, gym workouts, meditation, sleep. I realize how important setting timers is for me. The list goes on. So can the Nothing 3A Pro handle all of this, as well as film my YouTube videos? So by the end of this video, you'll know if it can or it can't. Now I'm really picky with very specific things when it comes to my phone use, so there's gonna be a lot to cover here. I also decided to only use Nothing earbuds for the 2 weeks, the Ear and the Ear A. It's all or nothing. That's the only Nothing joke. Moving on. Now let's start here with the transfer over from iOS to the Nothing Phone 3A Pro. And it's a pretty simple process. You just plug both phones in via USB-C, choose what you want to transfer over, then about an hour and a half later, it was done. This process was easier for me because I use Google Chrome, so all my passwords were saved. So I'm not fully in the Apple ecosystem, I'm definitely in it, but I use Google Drive, Gmail, Google Chrome, but I still use a MacBook Pro M1 as well as iCloud and AirPods, but I also test every earbud that exists, so I'm ecosystem confused. But anyway, Nothing sent me both the 3A and 3A Pro. I have mainly been using the 3A Pro. The only major difference between the two phones is the cameras, so let's start with that. You've probably heard it before, the 3A Pro has a better setup with a periscope lens. Basically, you get better zoom. I'm not gonna bother with specs, so let's just get into some comparisons. So I'll be comparing the iPhone 15 Pro to the 3A and the 3A Pro. All the images and videos are shot in the default camera apps, just point and shoot, not changing any settings. I'm terrible at taking photos, but let's go. So we've got the iPhone on the left, 3A Pro in the middle, 3A on the right. And I like the iPhone the best here. The colors are more natural and closer to what I was actually seeing with slightly better detail. This will be a trend with most shots, but the 3A Pro and 3A still look really decent here. Next, we have the GameCube shot. The color is a bit more realistic on the iPhone with some nicer background blur. The 3A actually has better sharpness on the corner of the cube though when you zoom in. And again, the 3A Pro looks pretty good here as well. Next, we have some 2x zoom action. So again, the iPhone has the most natural colors, a little bit on the warmer side to what I was seeing. The 3A isn't bad. The 3A Pro kind of whacked out a bit on this one, as you can see. Don't really know what happened there. Now we're going into 3x zoom territory. So here you can really see that periscope lens working its magic on the 3A Pro. You get some really nice detail, especially when you zoom in. Although the colors are slightly muted on the 3A Pro, the 3A only has 2x optical zoom, the 3A Pro has 3x. That's why the 3A doesn't look as detailed there, and the colors are a bit different, but it still looks nice. We're going outdoors now, back to 1x here. The iPhone, again, looks the most natural to what I was seeing. The 3A a close second. Again, the 3A Pro a little bit wacky on this one with the colors. Next, we have a classic old selfie shot. They honestly look all about the same to me. There's probably some minor differences. I'd say it's pretty even overall. The 3A Pro has more background blur, but yeah, that's a selfie. So who cares? Next, we have a shot with some direct sunlight. I think the 3A is a little oversaturated. Kind of looks like it's just been edited, so it still looks pretty good. There's some pros and cons to each one here. Overall, I think it's pretty close. This shot here is using the ultra wide camera, and the iPhone is the closest to real life colors. The Aussie bush, especially in summer, is definitely not as vibrant as the 3A and 3A Pro depict. The colors look more like I'm on something, to be honest. Next, we have another shot here with the camera kind of pointing at the sun. I think the 3A Pro looks the best here. Again, color's not the most accurate, but if you zoom in, the iPhone does have better detail. Now the next shot here is using the 6x zoom. I think the 3A Pro gets the easy win. Colors are quite natural, you get some nice blur, solid detail. The 3A doesn't look too bad, but the iPhone, you can see, really did struggle here. Here's another 6x shot. Again, the 3A Pro looks awesome. It's crisp, really nice background blur. iPhone, pretty close second. The 3A, not so good here. Now here's a quick video of the selfie cam with some sun in the background. You can see the 3A Pro struggled here, but without direct sunlight, it's fine. Keep in mind the 3A can only film in 1080p, 30 frames per second using the selfie cam. Now using the back camera, the regular lens, here's a quick 4K 30 FPS video of the iPhone versus the 3A Pro. iPhone, again, more natural colors. The 3A Pro still looks great, but the stabilization is a bit rough. You can see some strange effects going on if I take a slightly firmer step, but I was walking pretty normal. And at the end, you can see the sky a bit easier on the iPhone. Now this is the 3A versus the 3A Pro. The 3A has the same stabilization issue, but the 3A Pro gives you a much crisper image overall, especially with the trees in the distance. And in my general experience filming on the 3A Pro, it has some solid video. It performs better in low light compared to the 3A. Here are some videos from a music festival, although I filmed these before the firmware update came out that was supposed to improve the camera quality, so sort of redundant, but they still look pretty decent to me. Overall, I think the 3A Pro camera is definitely more pro. I think it's earned the pro name, but the 3A is still solid. But if the camera is going to be good enough to film a video on my channel, well, yes, I'm currently filming this on the 3A, the talking head shot here, shot so you can see. This is going to be proof. This is weird. I don't know how this is going to work out. Me, and we've got the 3A filming the talking head right there, and I'm filming this on the 3A Pro. So the talking head shot on the 3A. The rest of the footage is shot on the 3A Pro, unless you see the 3A Pro, that was shot on the 3A. Unless you see the 3A and the 3A Pro in one shot, that was filmed on the iPhone 15 Pro. But like 99% of the video is shot on the 3A and the 3A Pro. If you're watching on a phone, you might not have noticed it. If you're on a TV, you can probably notice there's like some slight grain in the background on the 3A compared to my iPhone 15 Pro. Here's a quick comparison of what the talking head difference is. So you don't get a cinematic like background blur mode on the Nothing phones. Don't think the processor is strong enough, but look, it looks good enough. So no excuses to start a YouTube channel, just film on your phone. You're good to go. I've been doing it for 5 years. I haven't bought a camera yet. I don't know why. I don't know why. I really need to buy a camera. But now onto what's most important for me when using a phone, and that's the feel, the feels. What does it feel like? And I love the look and feel of Nothing OS. I don't know what it is about it. It could be the minimalist approach, lack of bloatware. Maybe I like it because it kind of reminds me of iOS, but it's like a cooler, slicker version. The included wallpapers are nice. You get solid customization of the home screen. You can add widgets galore, 5 columns of apps if you're a madman. And the Nothing icon pack randomly started working with all my apps except the Google Weather shortcut. On iOS, the dark mode doesn't darken all of my apps. And I'm definitely not the kind of person to like individually customize each icon or like even like download a pack or something. I want my things to work with very minimal effort. The only real issue I ran into when transferring over from iOS was that all my apps downloaded to the home screen and you have to delete each app individually. Where on iOS, you can delete apps much quicker. But overall, the feel of Nothing OS is great. It's snappy, it's smooth. The animations are slick, especially when you lock the screen. Check that out. You see it? Very cool. My first couple of days of use, I did notice some slowdown on random apps like Spotify and Instagram. Sometimes when I would swipe up from the home screen, the keyboard wouldn't show. But after the most recent firmware update and the more I've just been using the phone, I've noticed no slowdown and none of these random glitches. So I'm glad I gave more time in my testing before posting this review. So overall, it feels like a flagship phone, both in the build, which I love. I love the look of the phone. It feels great, but more importantly, it just runs well. Although it's just not as smooth as my iPhone 15 Pro, Nothing OS has a more snappy feel to it, where iOS has a more flowy feel when swiping apps closed or multitasking, which I do prefer, but that's probably just because I'm used to it. But now let's talk about battery life. So you get a 5,000 milliamp hour battery, 50 watts of fast charge, but it's what's going on behind the scenes with the software that will determine how good the battery life is. So like I said, I use my phone heavily. I'm usually getting over like 4 hours of screen time. And no matter how much I use the 3A Pro, the battery never went below 40%. So if you use your phone like a normal person, this is easily 2-day battery life. The standby time is also seriously impressive because I was mainly using the 3A Pro. I just had the 3A set up and like on my desk, I would use it here and there to compare things and take photos. I didn't charge it for like a week and I was using it, I'm not using it much, but it was like the standby time. Overnight, you just lose a couple of percent, still use the phone a little bit and then yeah, good standby time. Overall, the battery is miles better than my iPhone 15 Pro. I'm usually at like 10% by the end of the day. It is a much smaller phone though. And I've always preferred a smaller phone just for easy single hand use. I don't really need to have the best battery life. I can just charge my phone throughout the day. But after using the 3A Pro, I think I like a larger phone now. It's not until I went back to the iPhone, I realized how small the screen is. 15 Pro is 6.12 inches, 3A and 3A Pro 6.77 inches. So especially when watching videos, it's just way more immersive on the 3A Pro. And I can still use it with one hand quite easily and hit any part of the screen, as the camera notch gives you a nice place to rest your index finger, and the weight distribution of the phone is great. Switching to the 3A felt a little bit strange as I kind of got used to that camera notch, but after a bit of time, it still felt fine. The 120Hz display is also great to see at this price. I'm filming at 30 frames, so you're not gonna see it. But once you try 120 Hz, you're not gonna wanna go back. So getting it at this price is great. And both phones go super bright as well. Indoors, actually brighter than my iPhone 15 Pro. The colors are a bit punchier. The 15 Pro, more natural, kind of following on from the cameras. In direct sunlight though, the iPhone does go a lot brighter. I didn't know this was a thing, but yeah, direct sunlight, the iPhone's brighter than the Nothing phones. But now let's talk about sound. That's kind of what I do on this channel, picky audio. And the speakers on both phones are solid. They go about 2 clicks louder than the iPhone 15 Pro at max volume. Kind of makes sense. They're bigger phones. I assume they use larger speakers. But even at lower volumes, matching the decibels on the 15 Pro and the 3A Pro, the 3A Pro just sounds a bit crisper and richer. But now you might be wondering what my experience was like only using the Nothing E and Nothing EA. And if you follow my channel, you know I think highly of both buds, so the experience has been great. I do miss aspects of AirPods like always on Siri and notifications getting read out loud, but you can get earbuds on Android that have the always on Google Assistant from brands like Sony, Jabra, obviously Google. Another thing I miss about AirPods though is a swipe control for volume. You can still control volume on the earbuds on the E and EA, but they only use squeeze controls, so you can double tap and hold to control your volume. It still works fine, it's just not as intuitive as swipe control. The noise cancelling is also noticeably stronger on AirPods Pro 2. The transparency mode is also noticeably clearer. I think this is an area where Nothing can really improve on their next version of the Ear and the EA. An issue that kind of got brought back up with the Ear's transparency mode is that the microphones pick up wind incredibly easy, even if it's not that windy of a day. You're just going to hear wind noise coming in through the mics and it's just super annoying. The E8 actually doesn't have the same issue because it uses a different microphone or different microphone placements. I remember talking about this in my review, I just kind of forgot about it. So that's definitely something to be improved on as well. But both buds are excellent. Both sound much better than the AirPods Pro 2, and you can actually customize the sound unlike AirPods. But a small advantage of Android phones and the 3A Pro are the amount of codec options that you get. You basically get every high-res codec except aptX lossless. Not that I think high-res codecs really make much of a difference. I covered this in a full detailed video. It's a bit of a mess. Check it out up here if you're interested. The only real difference you'll see is worse connection and lower battery life on your earbuds. So try it out if you want. But now let's move on to some pros and cons of using Android and Nothing OS. First, being able to swipe back from anywhere, not having to go to the top left corner of the screen to press back. How does Apple not have this? I don't get it. Apple can just give it a name like Magic Swipe, super back mode, I don't know. Now it's not perfect. I would accidentally swipe back when I didn't want to sometimes, but I'm sure that would go away with more practice. Another pro is typing on a larger screen with stubby fingers, so much easier. Not really Android specific, but yeah, stubby finger things. There's also pop-up view, which I don't know if this is a Nothing OS thing or Android, but I've never used it, but I'm sure people will use it. And glyphs are there. I've never really used it. I had my phone down once and it flashed, and then I got a notification, and that was pretty much it. I set a timer on the glyph once, that was kind of cool, but I'd rather just see the time in numbers. They do look cool though. Then there's the more Android specific things like more niche apps, more game emulation options, although iOS is actually improving in this area. A big one for me is an app called Wavelet, which allows you to customize the sound of your earbuds with a band EQ, and it actually saves it to the specific earbud, like the actual Bluetooth connection. So every time you use those earbuds, they're going to use that EQ. It's not going to save to the phone and change your entire phone's EQ. This is something I don't see Apple ever allowing. They don't even let you customize the AirPods Pro 2. They don't give you an EQ, so they're not doing something like Wavelet. And I'm sure there are tons of other examples of cool Android apps that are kind of unique. But a unique one from Nothing is called Essential Space. And they're pretty keen on it. They've given you a dedicated button on the side next to the lock button, which I accidentally press all the time. But a single tap will take a screenshot and you can type or speak notes to go along with the screenshot. A long hold will automatically start recording your voice. So it's basically an advanced screenshot taker with notes. This is great if you always take screenshots of things, thinking you're going to remember to look at your photos to see the screenshot, but then you realize you just have all these screenshots that you never looked at. That's what I do. My girlfriend's a lot worse, and she does it on my phone, thinking she'll remember to look at it on my phone. So Essential Space, I like it. You can take a screenshot. You can also do it like using the camera and just take a screenshot of whatever you're seeing on the camera. So see something in real life and add a note to that or whatever. And you're actually gonna get reminders if you make the note and tell it to remind you to look at something at a certain time. Very cool, and it's a pretty new feature as well. So apart from that, at least for me, there's not like any other huge advantages going from my iPhone 15 Pro to the 3A Pro. Biggest ones for me are being able to swipe back from anywhere, the larger screen, and you do get better zoom with a periscope lens. But now onto the negatives of my experience with Android and Nothing OS. Here I ran into quite a few, like not major issues, but I guess like minor inconveniences. A unique one here is how landscape mode works. So on iOS with automatic landscape mode on, only a few apps use it, like YouTube, Safari, Google Chrome. Where on the 3A Pro, more apps I noticed use it, like Spotify, YouTube Music, even the timer app. Like I said, I'm big on timers, especially at the gym. And this is where I ran into the issue with the auto landscape mode, because like I'll have my phone just kind of lying in random positions, like on my gym bag, or I'll be like lying down to do a side plank and then get my phone ready, and then it'll be like auto landscape mode, and I'm like trying to change it back and trying to do a plank at the same time. So I just found myself like having to like get my phone getting out of landscape mode more often than I'd like. So I just turned it off. That's an easy fix. And why don't I just leave it off anyway? Realizations. Yeah, because like you can just leave auto rotate off, and then if you need to watch a video, just tap the little rectangle thing. The next issue here is with quick settings and having to swipe down twice to see all of the quick setting options. Where on iOS, all your quick settings are on one page and you only have to swipe down once. And I do know Samsung copied Apple, with the right side being your quick settings and the left side being your notifications. There's also no volume slider, which again is more of like a stock Android issue, but I know Samsung has a volume slider now as well. Just saying. There's also no option in quick settings to go straight into a timer. You can only choose to open the clock, then you can open the timer. And when I was at the gym, if a timer would go off, I normally just press play on my earbuds and it would stop, but on the 3A Pro, it doesn't stop. I told you I'm picky. Now, issue number 3 is the always on Google Voice Assistant's volume being relative to the phone's volume. So if the volume on my phone is like at 20%, if I ask Google something from like a distance, I won't be able to hear it because the phone's volume is low. Where on my iPhone 15 Pro, if my volume is at 0%, the always on Siri volume is going to be louder, so I can hear it wherever I am. I'm not sure if this is a Nothing OS issue, but I'm sure it can be fixed. Next is the fingerprint sensor. This is not really an issue because it actually works really well. I just prefer Face ID. Still, you do get a face scan option on the 3A Pro, but it doesn't work well in low light and it's not as secure as Face ID. But using fingerprint and face scan at the same time works very well. Before the firmware update, it was kind of buggy using both at the same time, but it works fine now. A bigger issue here is with video editing just being incredibly slow. I do film in 4K 30 frames per second. I mainly edit clips of me in the gym to check my form or send to my coach. But you can see here, it takes like 30 seconds to trim a small section of a 1-minute video. On my iPhone 15 Pro, it'll edit this almost instantly. I know it's a mid-range processor, but I'm sure it can perform better than this. Another small one is skipping frames is much more precise on my iPhone. Again, a niche thing, I just do this to check my form on a lift. Now on the 3A Pro, I can go into edit to skip more precisely, but the image is all blurred as you can see here. Another small one, you can't listen to music with your earbuds over Bluetooth whilst filming a video on the 3A Pro, which I know you can do on other Android devices and my iPhone 15 Pro. Another niche thing, but things are adding up for me. The next one is a nothing weather app. I do like the minimal nothing look, but I just need some color to know what's going on with my weather. A lot of the Play Store weather apps just look terrible as well, which really made me appreciate the iPhone weather app. So I saved the Google weather page as a shortcut, which looks all right. But I can't go into as much detail about things like UV, which in Australia is needed. The sun will literally fry you in seconds in summer. Now the next one is not really a nothing issue. It's just that I miss the dynamic island on my iPhone 15 Pro. I know it gets some hate, but I think it's great. It just works great as a quick app switcher. So if I'm watching a YouTube video and close it and open a few different apps, I can see the video still playing in the background. I can just tap on the island to quickly go back to YouTube. I also love seeing a timer on the dynamic island when I set it. Again, I use timers a lot. On the 3A Pro, you don't get any visual at the top of the phone, which just felt super strange for me. I also like on iPhone with the timer set on the lock screen, there's a large visual. On the 3A Pro, it's quite small, and at times it would be at the bottom of the notification, so I'd have to swipe down to find it. And other things I miss from iOS are gonna be like the ecosystem stuff, so AirDrop, it works great. I'll send like 20 gigabytes of files over to my computer after I've filmed. It's just very convenient. Continuity is a big one, so being able to copy something on my MacBook and then paste it on my iPhone. But you of course get quick share on Android devices that will work with Windows devices. I'm just in the Apple ecosystem and it works great for me. Now I honestly think all the minor issues that I ran into can be fixed via firmware, and nothing was already on top of the phone 3A and 3A Pro after just like 5 days of the release. And they've been great with their software updates in the past, so I definitely see it continuing to improve. Despite that though, all my nitpicks are specific to me. They might not even matter to you. I honestly really enjoyed my time with both the 3A and the 3A Pro. I could easily keep using them. it's been a refreshing and fun experience. So if you're currently using an iPhone, you're maybe in the iOS ecosystem, but you're not loving it, you want to change it up, go for nothing. Because at least in Australia, you can get the phone 3A for $599, add on the Ear earbuds for $149, and you're good to go. You're basically getting a flagship experience at a mid-range price. If you want that slightly better camera and video quality, I reckon go for the 3A Pro. The camera notch also makes a large phone feel a bit easier to hold. Now I have returned to my iPhone 15 Pro, mainly due to my workflow, the ecosystem features, and the minor inconveniences I had. But I kind of miss the 3A Pro. I think I'll make a return. Maybe the Nothing Phone 3 will convince me to make the long-term switch to Android. But until then, for more on Nothing, check out my Nothing Ear and EA review right here. Some juicy earbuds. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Stay picky, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye now.